Hey everybody, I'm the Drink Pro, and today we're reviewing Stagg Jr. Batch 15. Hey everybody, Kyle the Drink Pro here with you yet again. Thanks for checking out the channel. We've got a really fun review today, not just because I'm reviewing Stagg Jr. Batch 15, which I am excited about. I have enjoyed several other Stagg batches, as those of you who have been following my channel are sure to know, but also because it is finally the end of a very interesting run of Stagg Jr. reviews that I've done for Patreon members exclusively. If you remember, a while back, I did a live stream where I tasted every Stagg Jr. batch ever at the time. Now we have batch 15, but I wasn't able to include it back then. It didn't exist yet. Nonetheless, I went through all 14 batches in one shot and ranked them top to bottom, best to worst. It was kind of a shit show, as you can expect, because I drank 14, probably more than half-ounce pours of barrel-proof Stagg Jr. whiskey. In fact, I got a little flack for those results, so every week after that, on Sunday mornings, I was releasing a video showing me tasting one of the Stagg Jr. batches after the other. Started with batch 1 the week after, I believe, but all of those are available only on the Patreon. They're Patreon-exclusive videos, so if you want to see me review each batch individually, go check it out. Today, however, I'm going to reveal the results of that tasting as it compared to the blind tasting that I did when I did batches 1 through 14 all at once in one massive shot. And I think the results are pretty interesting. But all that's kind of ancillary. Stagg Jr. Batch 15 is the star of the show today, and I want to make sure I give it its full deserved attention. Let's go ahead and pour it out into my glass here. The Drink Pro glasses are available soon. The t-shirt is available right now. thedrinkpro.com. Just like with all the other Stagg Jr. reviews I've done, this batch 15 is my first pour of the day. I don't want anything else influencing me. And that can actually be detrimental to Stagg's overall ranking, but I wanted to rank them against each other and not on an absolutist scale. So, you know, it's a high-proof whiskey. It really is going to shine better after you've had a couple of lower-proof whiskeys to get your palate used to that kind of burn. But nonetheless, I want to compare them fresh against each other and not have any other influences affecting me, if possible. I want to give a shout out to Henry Cervantes for providing me with this sample. He actually provided me my Stagg Jr. Batch 14 sample, so I really appreciate, man, you looking out for the channel. So cheers to you. Ooh, man, it is really beautifully sweet and cherry forward. Ooh, I really like the nose on this a lot. When I first smelled it, I didn't get much vanilla, but the vanilla is starting to come out more and more along with some caramel. I'm also not getting nearly as much honey on this as I've gotten from some of the other batches that I've reviewed. Ooh, I get a little caramel corn and clove. That's fun and a weird combination. This is one of those pours that you can kind of stick your nose in and live in for a while, and you'll keep pulling different notes. Just on first nosing, you're gonna get vanilla, maybe, caramel for sure, and some cherry cough syrup. But then, other things start to come to the forefront more and more. Like I'm almost starting to get a floral component. Maybe like a rose, like rose water. And that cherry is starting to dissipate, and the medicinal cough syrup is almost becoming like an herbal quality. And I'm getting this sort of sweet herbal. I would say honeysuckle, but it doesn't smell like honey. It's some sort of other sweet herbal component. It's really nice. It's kind of creamy on the nose as well. I get like an almond creamer like you'd put in coffee. It's a different note. And there's not much astringentness or oakiness on the nose of this. It's pretty tame. You can tell it's high proof, but it's not gonna blow you out of the water. All right, let's go ahead and give this a taste. Oh. Oh, wow. This is the most drinkable Stagg Jr. I think I've ever had. It's oaky only in flavor. It doesn't have any of that astringency that really turns me off on some of these Stagg Jr. batches. It's super sweet and creamy. The mouthfeel is unbelievable. It's almost like an oil. Yeah, maple syrup, caramel. Immediately you get this nice dry oak, but it doesn't keep your mouth dry because the sweetness lingers on, but you can tell there's this dried out oak flavor. The cherry also sticks in there as well, like fresh cherries on the oak. Yeah, that's incredible. I'm about halfway done with this sample, and only now am I starting to get this pepper on the back of my tongue in the finish, and the heat is starting to show up as well. It's kind of amazing that it took that long for this to show up, because this is an incredibly high-proof whiskey. I think they're finally starting to hone in what they want from a Stagg Jr. batch, because this reminds me more than any of these others that I've tried of a George T. Stagg. Yeah, vanilla and caramel bomb, oakiness, hints of cherry, then you get some almonds and some walnuts in the mid palate into the finish. The finish stays pretty oaky with a little bit of black pepper and a little bit of heat, but the sweetness is pervasive. There is a little bit of an acrid, astringent bitterness on the back of the palate at the very tail end of the pour, but it's pretty quiet and the sweetness sticks around and you don't really feel like you're ending on a bad aftertaste. That really is an amazing pour. I'm super impressed with that. That has to be one of the best pours I've tried from Stagg Jr. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and put up the results of the all-in-one shot 1 through 14 Drunken Nightmare live stream and the day-by-day, week-by-week, more meticulous reviews of 1 through 14 Stagg Jr. batches. Here is the result. Now, I don't have all 15 batches, unfortunately. Like I said before, I've got batches 14 and 15 samples from Henry Cervantes, but I've got 4 batches here that I can compare to batch 15. So we're gonna taste it against batch 4, batch 9, batch 10, and batch 13. Those are the side-by-sides compared to batch 15. So let's see how it goes. First off, batch 4. Now, batch 4 actually moved up pretty drastically from the one night, one shot order to my more methodical order. It went from place 13 to place 6. That, to me, might have something to do with the fact that this bottle is now half empty. I think when I tried it for that review, it was pretty full. And some of these whiskeys just need time to open up and they'll really shine beautifully. Like smelling this right now, I don't get as much complexity as batch 15, but it is creamy, it is blueberry, it is sweet candy all over. Let's taste it. See, it's way sharper though. There's so much more bitter oak sharpness on the palate. And don't get me wrong, this is a good pour. I wouldn't be mad if somebody poured me this. But it's not nearly as complex or as pleasant as the batch 15. It's sharper. It's got the sweetness to it for sure. It's maybe even sweeter with a sort of rock candy sweetness compared to the batch 15. But it's just one-noted. The oak is there for sure. There's an astringency, there's this candy sweetness, maybe some cherry, but you don't have that 5, 6, 7 note profile and evolution that I can highlight with the batch 15. Let's try batch 9. Now batch 9 was very consistent between my 2 tastings. It was 11th during my one shot tasting and it was 9th during my methodical tasting. And see, that makes total sense to me. It lands even flatter than the batch 4. The batch 4 had the sweetness and the astringency and the oak, but it was still a decent tasting pour. This is not to me. This is just astringency, and it's very flat. There's not a lot going on the palate. Yeah, I get vanillins, sweet vanilla, and astringent oak, and that's about it. Ooh, I almost get like that Flintstone vitamin minerality on the finish. That's interesting. Not Dickel juice for sure. All right, let's move to batch 10. Now, batch 10 was my #1 favorite during the one-shot tasting, and it dropped a little bit to #4 during my methodical review, but still, it was ranked very highly for me multiple times. So let's go ahead and see if 10 stacks up to batch 15. See, it's got that sweet creaminess. The creaminess really does wonders with the Stagg Jr. because when you don't have it, it just tastes astringent and flat. With the 10, it has this creaminess, it brings the fruit forward, it brings the sweet caramel forward. There's almost a nuttiness in the mid palate too. I really like how the later Stagg batches seem to have a nutty quality. I like oakiness just as much as the next guy. Well, probably not true, but I like oakiness somewhat. And I like nuttiness somewhat, but when you can have them together and they don't feel like one-off isolated incidents, they really both complement each other and shine and create a complex pour. And that really happens with this 10. Let me see if I think the 15 could beat that. So, that's tricky. Oh, I think it might be it though. The 10 definitely wins on the finish. There's almost an acrid, astringent note on the 15 that has not gone away. It only showed up about halfway through the pour, but it's sticking around. But the initial flavor on the 15 is so nice and sweet and berry forward, which I'm a sucker for a good berry flavoring in a whiskey, when it's not added later at least. Yeah, those two are very close, but I think that berry note edges out the batch 15 as the winner for me over batch 10. It really just hits the notes that I personally like better, but I think they're both fantastic pours. Finally, let's try batch 13 against the most recent batch. Oh, now, right off the bat on the nose, I can tell this has a shiny metallic quality. It's more narrow, it's thinner, it's not creamy, like the last couple that I really enjoyed from Stagg Jr. It's not bad, but it's got almost a sharp lemon pledge vibe, and the vanilla and the caramel almost become narrower. It's sort of like turning down the quality on your streaming audio services. I use Spotify, but whatever you use, when you turn down the quality, it feels like all of those sounds shrink and become smaller, and the sound stage becomes less present. That's how I feel about this on the nose. The presence isn't there like it is on batch 10 and batch 15. But let's give it a taste and find out for sure. Now that's the first one that gave me a real prominent, notable oakiness. I know that Stagg is known for this strong oak flavor, that licking a barrel stave kind of vibe. This is the first one that gives me that at all. It's not my favorite, there's not really much else going on with it for me. It's very oaky, it's got some sweetness, but doesn't have that berry note, the creamy note, the nuttiness, all that's out the window for me with batch 13. So I do think batch 15 might be the best one so far. I can't be sure because in my methodical order, I had batch 10 as the fourth ones, and I don't have 14, 12, or 7 to try again, unfortunately. But batch 10 won my one-shot order. So that live stream, I had 10 being the first one, easy peasy, and this beats that. So it's worth considering. I would definitely pick up a batch of Stagg Jr. 15 if you can find it. If you can, and you want to share, hit me up. In the meantime, I'm going to finish enjoying these delicious pours, and you guys keep drinking like professionals. Cheers.